Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Kindopp.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks again. And as Rebecca mentioned, I wrote a book called Mañana Doesn't Mean Tomorrow, set it in Mexico, mostly in Mazatlan. I also write a column for the Mazatlan Messenger, which is an online English-speaking publication, which is a local and a regional and national and actually an international publication. It's a great English-speaking publication centered around Mazatlan. So I do write a column for that, and it comes out twice a month. And those are a lot of little basic short stories that are true, that are about interesting experiences I've had, mostly in and around Mazatlan. This story I'm going to talk about today, called The Art of the Illegal Tour, is from way back when, 20 plus years ago, when my friend Roberto and I were trying to desperately earn some survival and margarita money in and around Mazatlan. I had sailed my boat down there and I got busted, almost got deported and put in jail and whatever. And so we had to figure out ways to earn some pesos. So Roberto had this old Volkswagen VW bus that I helped him buy when he was in Sacramento during one of my trips to the States, when the boat was actually sequestered in the harbor, if you will, kind of under lock and key with the federales. So Roberto bought this old 1965 Volkswagen bus with a canvas top, and we took it to Mazatlan. So I concocted this idea that we would have these tours, whatever we could do. And so we had this wonderful beach out of town, about 45 minutes, Playa Cayamanero, that we really loved. And we went there to get away from the rest of the busy Mazatlan world. So I figured, well, we could take tourists in his bus out to Playa Cayamanero. So we agreed that would be a great idea. And so I went around looking for customers. And I had some people that knew me and that drifted through Mazatlan on a kind of a yearly vacation basis. And so I found a couple of ladies that knew me that didn't get a chance to go sailing the year before, and a couple of folks, I used my kind of cruising through happy hour technique to find customers. I would come in and sit down, plop myself in a chair, and order a Pacifico from the waiter who knew my name. And of course I was as brown as the Pacifico bottle because I was out in the sun all the time. And I would just plop myself in the middle of crowds in happy hours and watch for people who looked like they were really having a good time. And I would just segue into a conversation with them about, I live here, and so on and so forth. And I told them that I might have a little mini adventure that they would like with my friend Roberto, who also was lived in Mazatlan and was a native. And for people that wanted to have a little fun out of the normal vacation box, it was perfect. So I got these 6 people total lined up for this particular instance, that I'm writing about. And we did a couple of other ones, but this one happened to be just a crazy, wild adventure. To get these people, I had a couple probably in their 30s, I had a couple in maybe their 50s, and then I had these 2 ladies that I knew. One of the ladies that was traveling with her friend, we became close friends, and so we had spent some time together. So when I told her about going out to Playa Cayamanero, she said, of course, I want to go, and my friend wants to go, because they were up for whatever adventure came along. So we get ready, the appointed day comes along, and we have to be careful because we can't just show up and take a bunch of gringos, picking them up at the hotel, because if the drivers or the taxi drivers get an idea that we're taking away their business, then they could turn us in, and of course then we'd be breaking a lot of laws and we would be in big trouble. So we had to do it very surreptitiously. So so the day comes, and we meet, the first 2 people we meet at the Playa Mazatlan Hotel, the couple in their mid-50s, and I think I call them the Banana Republic couple because they're dressed in their creased khakis, and they look like the clothes they're wearing have just come out of the cleaners, and nice people, but they look like the average person you'd see in a retirement community playing golf in Northern California, and a little, maybe a little stodgy, a little kind of picky. And then so we load them up in the van, and we drive to the next hotel where the other couple are staying, and we're careful to kind of go around the corner, and I go retrieve these people, and I say, oh, the van's over here, you know, and they, and they're, like I said, they're in their mid-30s, they're adventuresome, you know, they've got their rugged clothes on, and they're ready for whatever. They load up, and then we made arrangements to meet the two ladies at the same place. So we all load up in this van, and this van is this van is there somewhere along the line. When Roberto bought it, the middle seat had long been taken away. So in this van, there's this whole center section. There's the two drivers, there's the two front seats, passenger and driver, and then there's the back seat, the bench seat. So we don't have enough room for all those people. So what Roberto and I did was we took two multicolored web lawn chairs and stuck them in the middle part with an ice chest with all of our goodies in the middle. So we get, and so Roberto shows up, and I think it's going to be Roberto and I, and we're going to take these customers. Well, he shows up, and there's this little Chiquita in the front seat, and I've never met her before, and she's this little young lady, and this is Roberto's little like girlfriend that I had no knowledge of. So here she is, and so we're introducing Lupita or whatever her name is, and I'm introduced to her for the first time, and I'm trying to pretend that we've got this like tour going on. And I wanted something really funky and really interesting for these tourists, and it turned out to be so funky. It was bad. It was embarrassing. And so what I did was I just went past the embarrassment to, hey, what the heck? I told these people it was going to be a crazy wild ride, and I'm just going to get comfortable with that and live with that. So the three people load up in the back seat. The two ladies claim the web chairs in the middle next to the ice chest, and then the other people, the one lady squeezes in front next to Lupita, who sits in next to Roberto on another ice chest between the two front seats. So there we are, roaring off out of Mazatlan on our way to Playa Cayemanero. So we'd already been out in my Jeepster. We'd driven out and looked at the place, and we had an idea about what we were going to do. So we kind of had a rough plan. Nothing really great. It was really fly by the seat of our pants. So the first stop is a little town about 25 minutes out of Mazatlan on a main road called Villa Union. And the idea was we'd pull into the parking lot in this old, funky, crusty, dusty, fallen down town, and we'd load up with beer and refrescos, put them in the ice chest, and then we'd leave there and go down the country road on our way to Playa Cayemanero, and also the little village called Las Posas, where there was a shrimp farm. So we would go to the shrimp farm, we would go to the beach, and then we had a deal where Roberto's aunt lived in this little town, and we would stop by his aunt's house, and everybody would have lunch, whatever she could drum up that day. There was no way to communicate with her because there was no phone and no television in this little village. This was a while ago. There may not be now. And so the deal was we just show up and just see what happened. So now we're back in Villa Union. We're stopping. The bus is stopped. We've loaded up the ice chests. Some brave people go through the store into the back to the baño, the bathroom, and that of course is an experience by itself, going to the bathroom in a funky store in a funky town in Mexico. They come out, eyes wide. Okay, we're ready for the rest of the trip. We all jump in the van. And Roberto hits the key, the ignition key, and the thing kind of grinds and won't start. It's like, and it won't start. So I look at Roberto, and he looks at me, and I look at everybody. I get out of the car. He gets out of the car. We slide the big cargo door open. I get out, and I say, "What's going on?" And he says, "Oh, I forgot to tell you. It doesn't start once in a while every time. I think that the starter is acting up. He said, just once in a while it doesn't start." I said, well, I didn't. If you'd have told me that before, maybe I could have figured something out, before now. And he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, And so the only thing I can do is to look at everybody and say, well, folks, I said, we're going to push this car to start it to continue our tour. So everybody looks at me like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? And a couple of people are going, yeah, what the hell, let's just push the car. So a few people get out, Mr. and Mrs. Banana Republic, they get out and stand off to the side, and everybody else pretty much is okay with it. So we get out onto the road, the pavement. We all push the car. Roberto pops the clutch. It starts up, vroom vroom, this little Volkswagen. And I usher everybody back in, and we go through this little town, and we turn right onto the funky country road. And now we're off on the next part of this tour. And of course now everybody's looking at me like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? They're nervous, But yeah, and then a couple of miles, everybody's fine, and I'm chit-chatting and I'm explaining it away, and Roberto's pointing out the iguanas and the parrots and the mango groves, and the road's all chewed up. And meanwhile, he's going along and he's pointing all this stuff out while he's steering the bus across this 2-lane road with these giant potholes and chuck holes and broken concrete, and we're weaving along like we're on a roller coaster, and the lawn chairs are sliding and moving and tipping, and the ladies are hanging on, and I'm hanging on to them, and everybody's just trying to get used to this crazy experience. And it keeps getting worse, of course, and I just have to keep thinking, well, you know what, I'm just going to have fun with this, whatever happens. That's what I'm going to do. When I get to Roberto's aunt's house, we pull up in front. It's all flat. It's all dirt roads, sand roads, but we pull up in front, and we're on the flat area in front of her place. And Roberto looks at me, and I look at him, and he turns the car off. And we figure, well, hell, if we have to push it again, at least it's flat here, And he dashes in to talk to his aunt. We have 8 people. We're going to have lunch. We'll be back in a couple hours, and her kids take off out of the door, and they run off to wherever they go to find whatever they can for us to eat. We have no clue what it's going to be. And we're going to eat in her kitchen, which is a wooden table on dirt, swept clean dirt, and a refrigerator and her stove are on wooden pallets to keep them off the dirt. And that's where we're going to have lunch. And these people don't know that yet. But they'll find out. So then we go to the shrimp farm. So we drive about 10 minutes to the shrimp farm. The car starts, luckily I'm crossing my fingers and praying. The car starts right up. We drive down through this little village to the shrimp farm. We stop the car again, turn it off. Every time we turn the car off, of course, we're praying it's going to start again. We don't know what's going to happen. And so we get to the shrimp farm, and there's just piles of junk everywhere, and it's dirty, and these little ragamuffin kids are all filthy, and they're running around, and a bunch of guys sitting in a concrete palapa, playing cards and drinking beer, and a few of the people get out, and they kind of step around, and they look around like they don't even want to get out of the car and look, or their van and look, and we walk down a little bit, we look at the shrimp farm, there's a guy out there throwing a net, and they all look around like, yeah, we've seen enough of this. That's fine. I don't, okay, folks, next stop. So they all load up. The car starts again. It's like, whoa, we're on a roll. The car started again. And so we're going to the playa, the beautiful, unbelievable beach, the Playa Cayamanero. So we drive another 20 minutes or 15 minutes. We drive to the edge of the road. We pull off on this gravel as far as we can go. Everybody piles out. They drop their jackets and their shoes and whatever, and we walk down this amazing, fabulous beach, and there's not one person on the beach, and there's nothing there for miles. And if you walk out on the beach, there's these birds flying across, and the surf is pounding and rolling, and the water is eddying in the sand, and it's just absolutely spectacular. And what happened there was an amazing thing. Everybody there in the group all of a sudden became connected. Nobody was worried about, the car, the ride, the pushing the vehicle. It was all an amazing transformation. And so here we are, all these people from all these different walks of life, if you will. Mr. and Mrs. Banana Republic had shed their coats. They still had on their shoes and their creased khakis. But everybody just relaxed. They went into a whole new place, a whole new way of being and relating, and we all became people in the same space and time in this amazing environment. And the conversation was really, really flowing and relaxed and genuine. And so we spent about an hour just walking up and down the beach, and a few of us splintered into different people walking together, and I was walking with this lady named Kathy, and chit-chatting about Mazatlan and walking on the beach, and she made a comment. She said, it's just absolutely beautiful. I'm just so glad that we were able to see this, because we would never ever be able to see this just in our normal vacation, you know. And they were a little bit brave. I mean, they didn't just stay at the hotel every day, but most people would never be able to get that chance. So it was just an amazing transformation. So we get back to the the car. It starts again. We're on, you know, I'm convinced it's going to start every time. We're fine with that, right? And so we all load up and we drive back to Roberto's aunt's house, and we all, you know, we're there. We've had some beers. You know, everybody's feeling a little bit better. We've had this great walk on the beach. We park in front of Roberto's aunt's house. We unload. You know, they file back in the backyard to the bathroom. You know, where's the bathroom? It's back in the backyard, and you know, behind that little fence. And of course, everybody files back from the bathroom with wide eyes and, you know, scrunched noses, and they've had that experience again. They're really getting their share of what it's really like in parts of Mexico. We file into the kitchen, and we walk in, and there's this big barbecue, like a wooden barbecue table, only it's rougher, and it's got benches, and there's a couple of chairs that are pulled in on either end of it, so there's room for all of us. And it's just loaded now. There's all these an assortment of plates and utensils that are all mismatched, you know, and where she came up with serving for 8, I have no clue, you know. And there's some pots on the table, and there's baskets with tortillas with, you know, the little colorful little mini napkins over it. And there's stuff on the stove that is cooking and simmering and boiling. And it smells like a 5-star restaurant. It's unbelievable. It is just fabulous. So we all sit down on this table on the dirt floor, and we're kind of, you know, settling in, and the people are looking around at the wooden walls and the thatch roof, and, you know, trying to get their bearings. And she puts a big pot on the table, and she lifts the lid, and it's full of these little lagoon crabs that she's boiled. And then she brings out a big pot of beans and a big slab of this amazing local cheese, you know. And I forget, there's something, fish, some little lagoon fish that she'd fried up. And it was just an amazing meal. So we all sit down, and Roberto, of course, then he starts to show us how to break up the little crabs, and this is where you get the best meat, and everybody's looking like, whoa, you know. And of course, it's so foreign to everybody, but Roberto and I, you know, and we're like, yeah, well, cool, you know, and you know, and here, load up your plates, and people are, you know, hesitant, and Roberto's aunt, I forget her name, I think it's in the story, she's helping people, and she's serving, and then she lifts the lid off of something, and the steam roils out of it, and the smells just captivate you, and it's just an amazing experience. So Roberto's showing people how to crack the crab, and everybody's putting this stuff on their plate, and the tortillas, and so we have this meal. We start to eat. I go back to the van, and I bring back more beer for people who want more beer. Me, of course, because I'm suffering from my tour guide dilemma here about what's going to happen next. So here again we are. We're reconnecting again with this meal. And then a chicken comes through, you know, and it walks through, and it walks under the table and walks out. Kind of indifferent, and you know, a couple of people look like Mr. and Mrs. Banana Republic, like, oh man. And then so we're eating, and Ms. Banana Republic, she gets her plate full, and she's eating this food, and she's really liking it. Everybody's loving this food. I'm really surprised, because I think, you know, whoa. So we have this great meal, we're eating, another 5 or 10 minutes go by, and everybody's remarking, and it's fat, and we're reconnecting, and then a goat comes in the kitchen, you know, and just kind of walks around the table, just checking us all out, like, yeah, whatever, and then just walks out. And we all, you know, look at the goat, and it's like, you know, for me, I don't care. I mean, I've been there and done that in Mexico, and these people are actually kind of going, oh, okay, you know. And then Mrs. Banana Republic asks for more. She says, I want some more of this and this and this, and her husband looks at her like, whoa, what the heck is happening here? And so, and people are having seconds, and it's fabulous, and it's a great meal, and I was totally impressed. It was better than any meal I've ever had at any restaurant in Mazatlan, no matter what the price. But it's local. That's what restaurants try to do. They try to cook like locals, right? But they never can really accomplish it. Well, this is what it was. So we finish our meal. We all kind of collect in the yard, and then we file back. We're on our way back to the bus, and Mr. Banana Republic comes up to me and he says, David, man, I can't believe it. He says, my wife, he said, she won't even eat the hotel food. She's so afraid of getting sick and it doesn't taste right. And she had seconds in here in this dirt floor place. And he said, I don't know, man. I said, that's just amazing. And I said, hey, great. You know, Mexico does that to people. You know, people change when they get here. So that was really cool, I thought. So then Roberto comes back. He's been somewhere. I don't know where he's been. He's always out, you know, finding out weird little local tidbits of information. So he comes back and he says, hey, David, he said, I found out there's a coconut plantation on our way out of town, and we can drive in there and we can cut some coconuts to take back. We leave a couple pesos. There's a long pole there with a saw on it, you know, or whatever, and we can just cut them off. And I said, oh, that's very cool. What a great thing to add to this little tour, right? So we plan on that. So we're going to go cut coconuts. I tell everybody, want to go cut some coconuts off the trees? Oh, yeah, that's really cool. So we all get in the car again. It starts. We drive down the road about 1.5 miles, and we pull off this road. Roberto had directions. We pull off onto this road, and it's the dry season in Mexico. I forget what time of the year it was. And we go down this road. One side's got branches that are stuck in the ground with barbed wire, and there's corn off to the right, and then on the left it's just coconut plantation as far as you can see, and it's beautiful, the coconut palms and the blue sky and everything. So we drive down this road along these branches, barbed wire fence. So it looks like it's a pretty well used road, and we get about 100 feet down the road, and the van just sinks down into this powdery dust and just stops, and the back wheels are down into the hubs, and the car will not go anywhere. And of course it's full of people. So Roberto puts it in reverse and tries to back out, and nothing happens. He puts it in forward and tries to lurch out, and it just digs further into this powdery road. So here we are, and we all look around at each other again. So we look around. Okay, we got to get out and see what's going on. Oh no, so Roberto gets out. I get out. We go back around, and we look, and we're buried in this thing. There's no way we're going to move anywhere. So I open, of course I've opened the big cargo door because I have to get out, because I'm sitting on a pillow on the floor next to the 2 lawn chair ladies. You know, that's my place in this tour. So we get out, we look, and so I go, folks, guess what? We got to get out and push again, because we got to get out of this dust. And they look at me like, and now they're like, yeah, okay, cool. They're used to this craziness by now, right? So they get out. Everybody's walking in this dusty dirt. It's, you know, it's got to be, you're walking and you're sinking probably 2 or 3 inches in this fine powder. So we get out. Everybody unloads. Roberto gets in the driver's seat. He puts it in reverse. All of us that can fit get in the very front of the car, and we all back up or push, and we push the car, and he puts it in gear, and we back out. We finally back it out of these ruts, because we've left about 10 feet of this rut behind the Volkswagen as we came forward and buried ourselves into almost to the axle in this stuff. So we back out, we get the car back on the road, there's just all this dust and everything falling out of the hubs and up underneath the back of it, and I'm going, oh crap, you know. So we back out, we get on the main road, Roberto backs into the main road. Okay, no coconuts, folks. We all get back in the van, but we're gonna head home now, you know, to Mazatlan. We all get back in the van. Roberto gets in the car. He puts it in first. We're going. He gets through first gear. He gets to second gear, and about the end of second gear, he's just about shifting into third gear, and there's this unbelievable crunching, grinding noise that's coming from the car, underneath the car. It sounds like, I think I wrote, it sounds like a 59 Buick being crushed in a wrecking yard into a 4x4 square. You know, that's what it sounded like. And I think, oh my God, and everybody looks around, what could happen next? Roberto stops the car, tries it again, puts it in first, and it's just this god-awful crunching, screeching noise comes out of the car. I open the cargo door again, he opens his door, he gets out, I get out, we go back, we look at the car, he puts his hand on one of the hubs, I put my hand on the hub, and I tell him, you know what, I think the wheel bearing's gone. And he says, yeah, I think the wheel bearing's gone too. And I said, this car's not going to go another 500 feet. And he goes, yeah, I agree with you. So I'm thinking, oh crap, now what am I going to do? I appear in the cargo door and I say, you know, folks, this bus ain't going anywhere. I said, so let's load up and let's walk back to Roberto's aunt's house, and we'll see if we can figure out what to do. Maybe we can find a phone in this village, and maybe we can find a taxi cab or somebody to come and get us from Mazatlan. And now it's kind of getting late in the day, and people are kind of going, oh man. So now we're walking back to the aunt's house, and it's like a funeral dirge now. Everybody's really getting depressed because they don't know where, they don't even know where they are. They have no clue where they are. They just know they're out in the boonies near an hour from Mazatlan. So we walk back to Roberto's aunt's house, and I tell him, I fall in step with Roberto. I said, well, we need to get a plan here. Can we find a phone or something? And he says, okay, we'll see what we can do. So we get back to Roberto's aunt's house. Everybody sits down in the yard on rocks and in a hammock and whatever, and they're all thinking, oh crap, I'm going to be here all night. Roberto comes back in about 5 minutes, and he tells me, he gets me to the side, and he says, hey, he said, there's a guy driving to Mazatlan in his truck, and he's going there now, and he'll be here in 5 minutes, and he'll give everybody a ride. And I'm going, oh my God, this is great. How could we be so lucky? And I'd already promised God, of course, that if He'll save me, I won't commit any more sins, right? Farm truck drives up in front, a steak truck with steaks in the back, a big flat bed. It's got hay in it. It's got chickens and crates in it, and that's our ride back to Mazatlan. And everybody looks at me, and I say, hey, folks, this is our ride back to Mazatlan. This is it. And so I load everybody up in this steak truck. I mean, people are looking and like, oh my God, I don't think I want to do this. And the guy that driving, he gets out. Roberto has a conversation with him. We're going to give him a couple pesos. He doesn't plan on going into Mazatlan. He's just going to go on the outskirts to take these chickens and this hay to his friend or something. So these people load up. I help them get up. I think 2 people get to ride in the front with this guy, Raul. And 2 people get to ride in the front, and everybody else has to get in the back. We all get in the back. We're sitting next to the chickens. We're on the hay. This guy starts going back to Mazatlan. He's lumbering along in this truck, and of course all this stuff in the back of the truck is swirling all around us, the hay, the farm detritus, and all this stuff. And it's noisy and it's windy. And people are just absolutely, they're stunned. They're just absolutely stunned because here they are going back to Mazatlan in this farm truck. And of course this guy that's driving this truck, he doesn't care about chuck holes or windy roads or any of that stuff, and his suspension is beat to hell from being in Mazatlan forever. So he's just clanking and clanking and clanking down these roads, and we're rocking and we're rolling, we're being thrown everywhere, back and forth, and it's just amazing. It's like going down a set of concrete steps. It's like being in a paint mixer. All these things combined riding in this truck. So we get back. We finally get back. We finally get back to Mazatlan, and we get to the hotel zone, and he unloads everybody, and Mr. and Mrs. Banana Republic say, thank you, that was one of the best experiences we've ever had. Everybody leaves, and everybody's happy, and amazing ride. There's more in the story that I really can't tell you about here. You have to read about it. I want to keep the rating to PG. And anyway, it was a great story, and it was a great experience. And
Thank you, David. That was delightful, as your stories always are. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thank you for letting me tell that story.